to Amity TV. I am Mitali, and today we have the honor of conversation with Amitesh Prakash Sir, a Chief Investment Officer in Karekeba Ventures. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mitali.
Sir is a career insurance professional with experience of 16 years in GCC's largest insurance market. He is specialized in insurance portfolio management, client management, business development, and strategic planning. Additionally, Sir is also a fellow member of Insurance Institute of India and holds an MBA in Insurance and Finance. Sir is also a partner with Karekeba Ventures as a startup consultant and mentor. So in this interview, we will discuss about Sir's experience and insights in insurance industry as well as his vision for nurturing entrepreneurial talent in underserved communities. So sir, we would like to ask you how and when a company can proceed for fundraising.
All right, thanks for the question, Mitali. And before I answer the question, I would like to thank Amity University, Dr. Professor Pandey, and the team at Amity Mascom. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to discuss and, if I can call it enlighten, I don't know, but let's do that. So now my point is that the things that we look for in terms of startup investments is very many, but in terms of the stages of startup, it could be any stage as such. I'm talking about in general, not necessarily for Karekeba Ventures. I'll come to that as well. But in general, let's say if somebody were to approach me to let's say invest, I would invest at any stage, be it idea stage, whether it's a proof of concept stage, an MVP, minimum viable product, or revenue stage, growth stage, you name it. So I could invest in any stage. But again, the investment could be not necessarily financial. It could be in terms of time and by mentoring the startup. So there's very many ways one could invest in a startup, not necessarily financial. And in terms of specifically talking about Karekeba Ventures, we look for revenue stage to start with. So the traction has to be good. Ideally, let's say something like 2 or 3 crores, in terms of an ARR or better. I mean, that's what is a comfort space. The valuation should not be too high as well. Anything up to 50 crores is a sweet spot for us. So that's what we look for. Other than that, we look for a tech inclination. So that's critical because tech is usually a scalable model. So we look for that. That automatically ties in with the TAM, so total addressable market. So how big or how large is the market that they're trying to do. We look at the impact angle as well. So whether they're able to create an impact in the society. So all those factors together kind of contribute to potentially whether Karekeba would invest in a startup or not. Yeah, I hope that answers.
So what are the important factors that a company should incorporate for success?
Yeah, success again has to be defined. But then in general, let's say if for a startup to become investable, let's say, and again, there's various types of investors as well. Somebody could purely look to make a profit out of the investment. Somebody could look for impact, so whether there's a social impact angle to the startup investment. So again, depends on the investor as such, as to what they're trying to achieve with their investment. So one could be a strategic investor, one could be a financial investor, or one could purely do it for, just in terms of impacting the society and making the world a better place. That's largely it. Yeah.
So how do you see the Bihar startups ecosystem?
Well, in terms of where it's at right now, I would say it's in a fledgling state. It's very nascent in the sense that there's so much to happen. But I think the government's doing its bit. Startup Bihar is doing what it's doing. Startup India, of course, is again doing a lot. But there's so much to be done. So I think the change has to begin with society, because as I don't know whether you may have heard, some people say that unless a parent is willing to give his or her daughter's hand to somebody who started up, until society sees that kind of a change, the scene hasn't really changed, so I think that's the kind of change that one is looking at, where the confidence is there that somebody has started up, and the society, as in the ecosystem, is there to support that person, so that they can achieve their goals. And that's the kind of level we need to get to. So at the moment, Bihar, as I said, it's in a fledgling state. There's so much to be done, but then it's a public-private partnership. You can't just have the expect everything from the government to do. So there should not be a sense of entitlement as such. People should be willing to do what they're doing, But at the same time, people from the government should contribute. Also, the private sector has to contribute. Investors have to contribute. In general, give it. As I answered in the first question, give time, if not the money. Whatever. Everybody, you can learn so much from everybody, right? So it's basically that. So the way I see it, there's so much to be done. But yeah, it looks positive, and I can see the green shoots coming up. Yeah.
So, any important message to the youth who are willing to do startups in Bihar?
Yeah, I mean, in general, not just those who are doing startups, but surely it's like giving back. So, and this is my life's approach. So we take so much from Mother Nature. From the time we are born, our parents, of course, but Mother Nature in terms of the vegetables, fruits and stuff that we eat, oxygen for that, as a matter of fact, parents, teachers, friends, family, relatives, and so on and so forth. So we take so much from them, but it's very few people who think of giving back to society, to the people who have contributed to their growth. So it's the startups should think of what they're trying to do, and is there an element of giving back in that. They should not only think of making money. Of course, making money should be somewhere an end goal as well, or a byproduct of what they're doing. But at the end of the day, it's about giving back. So the impact angle is critical. If a startup is able to do that, I think then a startup would have achieved, the very fact that it came about, it came into this world, and that person behind the startup, or the people behind the startup, would have achieved its goals of having come into this life as a human being. It's not just about, taking as much as possible and not giving back. So life, it has to be about giving back. That's
so last but not the least, how's the experience at Amity University, Patna?
Oh, it's lovely. Thank you so much for asking this. Dr. Pandey, everybody here it feels like, you've walked into a family atmosphere. You're talking about Dr. Atul Chauhan as well. Everybody, it's really inspirational walking in. The students as well. All of you, are amazing, very hospitable, very kind. So I feel privileged to have come here. Thank you so much.
So indeed, it's such a informative as well as good talking to you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Namaste.
Thank you, sir.